Election day is over. The election is not. We will find out who won soon enough. For now, there are bisexual cougars, snooty New Yorkers, cigarette-smoking teenagers, and much, much more to discuss. It's a fresh episode of the Savage Sack Tap, and it starts right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sack Tap. It's not a podcast. It's not a half-cast. It's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sack Tap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
A doo-doo-doo, this is where I put the show open. It's a piece of imaging that I plug in after this live stream is over. Alright. Let me take a sip here. America in turmoil. I am Mike Montone. This is the Savage Sack Tap, and here's the latest in the hotly contested presidential election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Everyone is being an ass. I know it's the responsibility of every American to stand up for tyranny and stand up to tyranny at every turn, and that's why we have this wonderful country of ours. But I feel like the nice thing now is that we're, it usually sucks that we're such an overly lawyered society, but as an overly lawyered society, it's also very hard to get away with shenanigans. I guess that would be the one upside to it. So we have lawyers everywhere. So much of this shit goes down publicly on like C-SPAN and all that. So it's all this stuff has to play out in a public forum. So I guess what I'm saying is that everybody can just stop fucking screaming on Twitter and Facebook and just you don't even have to watch it. It's all recorded. They're going to be the videos on YouTube, and there's news cameras everywhere, and there's a shitload of hands on the football. So just let the process play out. That's why everyone always bitches about, like, oh, government's slow. This is like the process. It's literally designed so that one guy can't just hijack the presidency and declare himself president for life, or conversely, one guy can't just overthrow the president or the elected president or whatever it is you and your particular fucking tribe fear is going to happen. That's why we have this ridiculously sort of complex system. Like, it's fucking slow by design. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. So that's why we do that. Although, I will say, if Trump did pull an Africa move and declare himself president for life, I feel like he would come up with the best fucking nickname. And what I'm talking about is, I don't know if you spend a lot of time thinking about African dictators, but African dictators all have the best fucking names ever. Idi Amin referred to himself, or demanded that others refer to him as His Excellency President for Life Field Marshal Alhaji Dr. Idi Amin Dada, VC DSO MC, Lord of all the beasts of the earth and the fishes of the seas, and conqueror of the British Empire in Africa in general, and Uganda in particular. I like that. He throws in. They really want you to know to a T what they are in charge of. Africa, in the British Empire in Africa in general, and Uganda in particular. So he did quite a bit of work to earn his title. I don't know. I can't imagine how many years of medical school he must have gone to earn all those letters after it. But how about VCDSO MC? I like that. I like the idea of Idi Amin as MC, and coming out to hype up the crowd before they see their favorite hip hop artist. Joseph Mobutu, the warrior who goes from conquest to conquest, leaving fire in his wake. That's kind of a good one. It's short, it's concise, but it's terrifying. And then Robert Mugabe. I love Robert Mugabe. I had a political science professor in in college who, for government and politics of Africa. He would talk. He had this hilarious voice, and he would talk about African dictators and how they overthrew people, and what does Mr. Mugabe do with his enemies? Like, he doesn't like his enemies, so he has them killed. And every time I hear about Robert Mugabe, which, he doesn't come up too often in day-to-day conversation, but when Robert Mugabe does come up, I always hear his voice, his name said in like, what does Mr. Mugabe do? He has them killed. Dr. Herrick, interesting guy. Well, one of his books is on my shelf back here. But Mr. Mugabe referred to himself as His Excellency the President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, patron of war veterans, first secretary of the party, and chancellor of state universities. Which is an interesting one to throw in there. I like how Mobutu is up there talking about destroying his enemies and leaving fire in his wake, and Robert Mugabe just kind of appointed himself to a bunch of shitty cabinet positions. Like, oh, you're the warrior who goes from conquest to conquest, leaving fire in his wake, huh? Well, I'm the chancellor of state universities. So why don't you leave fire on my balls after you suck this dick? Government and politics of Africa. I would like to see what Trump would make his dictator name. Donald J. Trump, President for Life, making America great again forever and ever, despite what the failing New York Times, crazy Nancy Pelosi, the Amazon Washington Post would have you believe. And by the way, despite what the fake news losers say, we have had the biggest rallies. Suck on that, Rosie O'Donnell. I feel like that's what the Donald would go with, something just absurdly. He would just make one of his tweets would be his dictatorial title. And you would have to type it out or say it in full whenever you referenced him by law. And I could see him doing that just to piss off the media. He would, in no other way as dictator would he violate the First Amendment, except for when you refer to him, he would make you refer to him as that, just so that Don Lemon and Jim Acosta would have to say it every time they discuss the president, or risk being thrown in jail. Like, I feel like he would pick that kind of ridiculously vindictive move. But I guess if we're gonna have a dictatorship, it might as well be a hilarious dictatorship. I like when people compare Trump to Hitler, and then you look at the Nazis and the Hitler Youth, and they're all trim and fit and well-dressed. Very polished people, the Nazis. Say what you will about their ambitions and their attitudes towards the Jews and certain other groups, but I mean, they cleaned up very nicely. And then you see that guy in the barbecue beer and freedom shirt who interrupted the fucking press conference in Vegas to declare the Bidens a crime family. And you're like, all right, maybe this probably falls somewhere just shy of the Third Reich. I don't know if they have it in them to engage in that kind of conquest. But speaking of beer and freedom, they say that searches for liquor stores near me, on Google, as if you were searching for a liquor store near you, we're at an all-time high on election day, and I don't know. I guess that if they're saying it, I have to believe that it happened. But really, fuck off. I feel everyone buys their liquor from the same place every time. Nobody who regularly buys alcohol in their neighborhood needs to Google a liquor store, and frankly, even if you don't regularly buy alcohol, you're probably aware of where the liquor stores are. You walk down the street. You walk down the street a couple times. You see the fucking sign that says liquor store. You know where your neighborhood liquor store is. And out in the suburbs, they're fucking massive. So, did everyone just all of a sudden move the week before the election? Probably not. I also hate the whole, we're gonna need plenty of booze to get through this one, am I right? Like, really? Are you that emotionally unwell that you can't get through a night of watching cable news. Like they're just it's literally you're just watching a bunch of assholes point at a fucking map of rural counties in Kansas. Like that's the evening. You need liquor to get through that. And then they turn their just completely their complete emotional and psychological fragility becomes a bragging point. Like I don't know what it is, but among 30-something white chicks in particular, there's like this point of pride that they add wine to everything. Like, you know how 20-something bros love chugging beers and they throw awesome parties and they finger blast sluts. That's the way like 30-something white women celebrate, skipping the gym to eat tacos and drink wine while watching Wolf Blitzer and letting the iPad parent their kid. That's their version of that. It's a weird alternate reality out there. It's no wonder that these fucking lunatics, by the way, are also among the chief offenders in the Facebook political argument wars, which, although I'm not a participant, I absolutely love watching. Like, you got the MAGA ladies, because I'm friends with, from being in the Marine Corps, I'm friends with a lot of people from MAGA country, and the MAGA ladies will sit around getting absolutely fucking shithoused. They're all paranoid about child sex trafficking is their big one. And if you go into, like, out in kind of like Trump land, if you go into like those local Facebook pages, it's all about like I saw so and so following. Like they believe that children are just being snatched up and taken to George Soros's house for a good butt fucking, left and right. And I mean, I guess after all this Epstein stuff came out about Ghislaine Maxwell literally just driving around looking for talent, maybe they do have a point. And then you get up to you got the northern suburban white mothers of America sitting on their crate and barrel couches surrounded by those stupid fucking framed prints of the words live, laugh, love while pounding Chardonnays and sharing Chrissy Teigen pictures. It really must be fucking just miserable and exhausting to be married to one of these chicks. Like, it's no wonder so many guys fall into a pit of like mid-shelf bourbon fantasy football and Pornhub. You come in from a hard day at the office. Remember the 1950s? You'd see in like the old TV shows where the man of the house would come in from a hard day's work, and the wife would be waiting for him there with her fucking tits pushed up and everything tucked in so her waist looked nice and trim, and she'd have a martini for him, and the kid would be all washed up for dinner, and his toys would be put away, and he could smell the pot roast coming from the oven. No more. Now you walk in from work, and the kid's glued to fucking some sort of weirdo YouTube video where like a cross-dresser is teaching him how to do makeup. He's disoriented. He's unsure of who his parents really are. He's just kind of vaguely aware that there are two adults who are constantly taking him to a fucking pumpkin patch to take pictures. You want your wife to offer you a blowjob, but now she considers performing oral sex to be a form of internalized misogyny. So instead, she greets you with a new list of things that Facebook told her to worry about. And you wind up just rushing through dinner so you can go to the bathroom, pretend to shower, and whack off to a sorority girl's butthole on OnlyFans. Yeah. Sad state of affairs. Anyway, we are getting legal weed in New Jersey, which, good morning, Ben. Good to have you with us. I'm sure you are pleased as I am about that. So I am going to, if you're wondering why I'm wearing sunglasses, it's because I did wake and bake as I am wont to cheeb up from time to time this morning, and when I do that, my eyes look even more fucked up than usual. So if you're watching on the live stream and you're like, why is this douchebag wearing sunglasses inside? in a dimly lit basement. It's because well, when I get stoned, my eyes are just fucking atrocious, and I didn't feel like having that show up on the old live stream. But anyway, yeah, I was thinking. Speaking of stoners and smoking, I was thinking about the old smokers corner that they had outside of my high school, and I'm sure this wasn't unique to Glen Rock. Like, I'm not saying that we just had this. I think they were a pretty common thing back up until like probably the early 2000s or so. But there was a corner where students who smoked could go outside in between classes or during option time, and they would smoke cigarettes in full view of the school, like borderline on school property. Like, literally, they would go a foot off of school property. It was right outside the cafeteria next to the football field, and they would just, it was, they were, sucking back packs of Marlboro Reds. No one said a word to them, and it was openly referred to as Smoker's Corner. Like, it was acknowledged by students and faculty alike that there were kids who would be skipping part of class for their after-lunch cigarette, and I'm thinking, like, I just can't fathom this kind of thing going on today. Like, it feels like the teenage experience has been completely gutted by social media and overparenting. Like, I remember I used to drive around throwing Slurpees at people, but you're like, that was awesome. It was some of the most fun I ever had. Very hard to motivate a kid to do that when he can sit around looking at some chick's tits on his phone, and which, believe me, I totally get. The pornography played a huge role in my my adolescence. A huge pornography guy, to this day, of course, but we kind of had to work for our pornography because streaming porn really wasn't available until I was in college. And I think we should encourage some degree of like old school youthful shenanigans so that kids can have life experience as they grow up. Because as great as phone tits are always going to be there. Enjoy the tits, whack off, and then go out and do something, mischievous with your friends. Like over in Wyckoff in Bergen County, I guess there's I don't know if there's like a petting zoo or what the fuck it is, but these kids broke in, and I think it might have been a pony or a baby cow or some shit, and they were riding it around like the little pen. And there are people on Facebook that are calling for jail time and for college admissions to be revoked. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that is a legendary night. That when they get to their 10-year reunion, and they're all, miserable and married and paying off ass loads of student debt, and they're losing their fucking hair, and it's the life is just kicking them in the balls. They're going to be able to laugh their asses off about the time that they broke into the fucking petting zoo and took the pony for a ride when they were in high school. But some fucking cunt on Facebook thinks that the course of their life should be forever altered by denying them the chance at a college degree, and making them, convicted criminals because you're a cranky twat on Facebook who isn't happy the way your life turned out, right? So eventually, I guess, what do we have? Kids stop doing shit like that, and then they just look at tits on their phones. They realize, oh shit, I can get paid to show my tits on my phone. And the next thing you know, daddy's little girl is off at college earning more than her father by showing her pussy to frustrated married guys on her OnlyFans. As they say in Jurassic Park, life finds a way. Hydration, baby. Got to avoid that cotton mouth. Yes, I'm responding to Ben on Facebook here. Yeah, that is one of my favorite quotes. When you're cool, the sun. Yeah, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day, or the sun never sets on the cool. Yes, that is a fantastic. That is such a quote from was it the 1980s? That's such a cocaine quote. The real reason back then that everyone was wearing sunglasses at night was because they were just constantly coked out of their minds and their eyes were bloodshot as fuck. What a time to be alive. But yeah, sunglasses inside. Anyway, shifting gears. You may find it strange that I, a 35-year-old male war veteran with a penchant for weightlifting and hogging, would be interested in Dear Abby letters. But if we're being totally honest, I absolutely fucking love them. And every once in a while, I do find one that needs to be shared with you, dear listener. So this one is this was great. Dear Abby, man is unsure of future with his bicurious fiancée. And he says, Dear Abby, my fiancée and I are in our early 50s. We dated for 2 years and have been engaged for 3 months. She's a wonderful lady and I can't imagine life without her. I knew she was bicurious over a year ago when she told me one of her married female co-workers was flirting with her and she kind of enjoyed it. Since then, their relationship has grown and they get together every couple of weeks for intimacy in our home. They have even asked me to join them, which I haven't done yet. Alright, I'm gonna let that sink in for just a moment. This guy's fiancé is bringing home pussy for him to double team with her, and he hasn't done so. Take a second, chew on that. Picture yourself in this scenario and what your response would be. And if one of your close good friends told you that, you know, I really like this chick, but I'm kind of worried. She keeps bringing this chick home and she's eating her pussy in the living room and she wants me to join. I'm not sure I want to spend the rest of my life with a woman like that. Picture what your fucking response would be to your stupid asshole friend if he said something like that. He said they're in their 50s, so I doubt they can conceive at their age anyway. But it should be said that this dickhead is completely unfit to raise a son. Alright? We do not need the gene, whatever fucking deformed, fucked up strand of DNA causes the gene for guy who turns down three-way with wife and her pussy-eating coworker. We don't need that getting passed down and fucking up the human race. Alright? I'm sorry. I'm reading a lot about evolutionary biology these days, so I may be... you may hear me referencing human evolution from time to time on the show in a completely bizarre context, and that just slipped in. But I think you can agree that we don't need the gene pool poisoned by guys who turn down an evening of fucking their wife from behind while she eats her friend's pussy. All right? I think we can all agree. Anyway, continuing. My fiancée insists she isn't a lesbian or bisexual, and what she and her friend are doing is innocent fun, but I'm not so sure. So far, I haven't made an issue of it, and go to bed at my usual time when her friend visits so they can have their fun. But have I opened a Pandora's box by being so agreeable? Fucking, yeah, I think if you opened Pandora's box, your fiancé would bury her face in it. I almost feel like I'm being trolled at this point. Like fucking Abby was like, hey, what if we wrote a goof letter for me to answer about something that was just so preposterous that it couldn't be true. Because, look, you fucking pussy, this is innocent fun, alright? What kind of, again, not to belabor the point, but what kind of maniac is invited to join as his fiancée engages in hot girl-on-girl action and says, no, you know what? I think I'm gonna drink a chamomile and read in bed until I fall asleep. Like, can you imagine knowing that there are two chicks downstairs eating each other's pussies? They want you to participate, and you decide instead to turn in so you can get some quality shut-eye. Like, what the fuck, man? You know, I think there's a way that this plays out. I think what's going to happen is that one day the fucking friend's gonna get sick of it. She's gonna be like, look, your husband's a fucking jerk off. Why don't we start having these these get-togethers at my house. The wife's gonna go to the married friend's house one day. She's gonna eat her friend's pussy while her friend's husband fucks her like her husband has definitely never fucked her. Because there's no way that this guy who's afraid of watching his fiance lick her friend's vagina, suck on her friend's tits, get her fucking pussy eaten by another chick. There's no way this guy is slinging quality dick. She's gonna wind up getting fucking railed by the friend's husband while she eats the friend out, and this guy is going to lose his fucking mind. Either he loses his fucking mind, or he decides, all right, look, maybe we can salvage the relationship. I'm gonna have to dip my toe in this water, and he's gonna be like if I don't match this, my fiance's level of freak, I'm gonna lose her. So I think you can envision a scenario here where this fucking pussy gets like really drunk and participates in like some kind of wife swapping four-way with his wife and the other couple, and I feel like I could see the other husband just laying down an absolute, a porn star performance, like a serious piping, and I could see like this little fuck, because this guy definitely has some kind of like gay tendency that's not coming out if he's not participating in these three ways he's invited to. So I could totally see him conceding to a wife swapping like four-way of some kind, and then getting drunk enough and horned up enough where he's convinced to enjoy a nice plate of cream pie, as it were, and like the next day he wakes up hungover, depressed, and just completely disgusted with himself, and he gets a gun and kills himself and the other three in like a horrific triple murder suicide. I feel like you see stories like that in the New York Post quite frequently. So, tale as old as time, tale as old as time. Continuing, she promises no romantic feelings are involved, that her friend is no threat to our relationship, and the two of them are just blowing off steam. Our love life is great, and she says nothing can replace us in the bedroom. Should I continue to look the other way, or is this a fork in the road that could lead to a life of anything goes? First of all, your love life is not great. Your love life sucks. Like as previously stated, there is no way a guy who is afraid of fucking his wife while she indulges in a nice plate of ambrosia. There's no way that guy slings dick. So he's lying to himself about their fucking love life being like, this guy is a walking limp dick. And I insist that this gentleman is either gay or just has no balls. Like, I would not be if we followed up with this couple, because I don't think it's going to work out. And I apologize if you can hear the car alarm going off in the background. This is podcasting in an urban neighborhood here on the western slope of the Heights. That's what we deal with. But I would not be stunned if a year from now this guy was in like an aggressively deviant relationship with another man. Like if he just became like a complete sub-bottom who just gets his hiney hole lit the fuck up by muscular gentlemen from the South Bronx. There's no way it's gonna work out with the chick. She is way, way too wild of a cat for him to keep cooped up in the house like that. She's got to get out there, strut that ass on the streets, and let that kitten purr. Fun girl. She should just hop on Adult Friend Finder and do it to it. She's too good for a pussy like this. Anyway, shifting gears. What do I got here? Let me look at my notes. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. The New York Post, baby. Love the Post. So last week I was talking about the way parents in New York City have been acting like little cunts on the playground, and they're freaking out, and they're like getting their kids really riled up over absolutely nothing. It turns out that not only are New Yorkers being cunts on the playground, they are being cunts on the elevator as well. I guess the Post spoke to a doorman and some residents on the Upper West Side, which, by the way, there is no better New York City neighborhood for this kind of social strife to be taking place than the Tony Upper West Side. But here we go. It was definitely awkward, Upper West Side chess instructor Evan Rabin told the Post, recalling a recent standoff in his 30-story building that was diffused by the doorman. The 30-year-old, I love it, a 30-year-old chess instructor and another resident were both ejected from the elevator because Rabin insisted on joining the germaphobe, demanding a solo ride. He told me I had to wait for the next one, said Rabin, who calmly pointed out the building's 4-person elevator policy. I replied, if you're not comfortable, you have every right to leave, but I'm in a rush. And I guess each stood their ground until the exasperated doorman ordered them to quit arguing and give up the elevator to another tenant. Yeah, can you imagine just standing there, like you got to take a shit, you want to get up to your apartment, and you can't get on the elevator because these two assholes are holding it up, having a fucking argument, and you're the doorman. It's a cush union job. You just want to stand there, sign for UPS packages, and get your nice fat tips at Christmas time. You don't want to deal with any of this bullshit. These rich fucking it's a chess instructor arguing with a snooty germaphobe in a doorman building in one of the city's priciest neighborhoods. I mean, this is asshole versus asshole, and I am here for it. I feel terrible for the doorman who has to deal with this. I guess at least when you're hanging out with the other doormen after work, like in that Seinfeld episode, I guess then you can have a good laugh over it. Jesus. It's everything about it is perfect. It's the way he just, this fucking chess instructor describes it. If you're not comfortable, you have every right to leave, but I'm in a rush. I mean, how Upper West Side is that? If it was Staten Island, it would have been like, guess what, cocksucker? I ain't getting off this elevator. You want me off? Fucking make me, tough guy. But no, not on the Upper West Side. The Post continues. On the opposite side of the park, an Upper East Side resident said her teenage daughter was screamed at by someone's help for trying to keep her social distance. Yeah, this lady, she fears retribution from her co-op board. She says, I guess her daughter asked a housekeeper to get the fuck off the elevator when it stopped at a lower floor. And she said that she only rides the elevator with family. And the housekeeper, who is in the middle of her work day, by the way, the housekeeper said, I'm not waiting. I've waited long enough. If you don't want to ride the elevator with me, then you can get out. Which is, I feel like, I don't know. I love how they refer to the housekeeper as the help. Like, they're not even people. They're just, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of non-player characters, but in like Westworld, like characters that are on tracks, they call them, they're NPCs. They just have their little role that they play. They're not supposed to get in the way. They're non-player characters. I like how they treat housekeepers as non-player characters. They're just people who mop the floors so that everything looks spick and span in your TikTok videos. I guess at least the chick got off the escalator. It says the 19-year-old obliged, but the mother, of course, decided to to alert the board and the co-op boards, behind this, because they're a bunch of cunts. Which, I mean, yeah, I get it. You're paying a lot of money to live in that kind of building, but so you want things to be your way. But I feel like you're still raising a shitty human if you teach them that. If you teach your kid the life lesson that it's worth ratting on a fucking a blue collar, a laborer, a worker, someone who's working for you. If you teach them the lesson that it's worth pushing them around over a minor dispute, I think you're on the path to raising an awful human being. And the woman says, "We choose not to ride with others to protect both parties, which makes some people in our building mad. I build the extra wait time into my schedule. People seem to have very little patience these days." Well, I guess they have very little patience because you sound like a bit of a cunt, right? People don't like cunts. You refer to people as the help. You clearly think that you're better than other people because of your financial position, So despite the perhaps legitimacy of your gripe, right, you're worried about a communicable virus, which proximity is a factor in, it still makes it very difficult to side with you because you're acting like such a raging twat. Here's another incident. A lone angry woman twice shooed the 59-year-old out of the elevator, saying, "No, no, no, you can't come on," because she wanted to space herself. I was shocked the first time, so I stepped out. I guess this is the housekeeper. But the second time, she was so nasty in her tone, I just barged in. She was not happy with me and hid in the corner. Yeah, I can't imagine having the social gumption to shoo someone away like that as they try to get on the elevator. I guess it's just that, like, if you have a certain type of parent and they teach their kid that they should turn everything into a grievance of some kind, it results in this. Like, they're not afraid to demand to speak to a manager, right? The Karenization of the world. So I guess if your kids observe you sending a meal back at a restaurant enough times, they're eventually going to grow up to be the kind of person who believes that they too have dominion over an elevator in a communal space. Like, I feel like that's what creates that. Back to the chess instructor. He says, he has unluckily found himself running into his elevator foe almost every day in their lobby. I just pretend not to see him, he said. That's perfect, by the way, because this is very childish behavior, and it reminds me of when you're growing up and you're kind of beefing with somebody at school, and you know you're going to pass by them in the hallway at some point during the day, except this is your home. So there's no escape. Like, at school, if you're not getting along with someone, things are getting fucking tense. You guys might have an awkward moment in the hallways. You're passing each other.Maybe you'll bump each other. I don't know if if you people, I don't know if you're pussies. You didn't get into a physical altercation or two when you were growing up, but at least you're not. That's not going on when you're at home. Now for these dickheads, there's the building they live in. And their adults, with the other stressors of adult life, are getting into daily altercations with people. So that's healthy. Just buildings full of people who hate each other. They're on edge because of a virus, the election, possible rioting, the economy. Let me tell you something. Upper West Siders are not built to handle that kind of stress. These people are the definition of fragile. So I would absolutely take it to the bank, ladies and gentlemen. I would absolutely say that you should start looking for some of these moneyed socialites to just go completely off the fucking reservation and, start smoking salvia and defecating in the fountains outside Lincoln Center. It's going to happen. That is the Savage Sack Tap guarantee. They are going to follow the lead of all these, because there's the influences there already. They're going to see the homeless guys that de Blasio just fucking dumped on the Upper West Side. The rich people are going to see that. They're going to be like, you know what? I'm in a fucking doorman building. I'm getting into these insane fights on the elevator. Fuck that. I'm going fucking feral. And the next thing you know, they'll lighten up a big fucking spliff of synthetic marijuana laced with bath salts, and they're shitting in their sweatpants outside of Lincoln Center. It's gonna happen. I am a perfect segue, because it might be that I'm beginning to sound like Alex Jones. And while this may have been a tad a turbulent 2020, if there is one sign that all is right in the universe, it is that Joe Rogan had Alex Jones on his podcast immediately after Spotify staffers. I think the cock out of my mouth. Staffers spent weeks trying to censor past episodes featuring the ubiquitously banned, he can't have a channel anywhere, InfoWars host. I know there are people who don't get why Joe Rogan is so beloved. I know the complaints. I've heard them a million times. He does softball interviews. He's friendly with people with the wrong opinions. He doesn't ask the right questions. And he gives a platform to people that society is, we've been told we're not supposed to like. I know all that shit. I've heard it all. That's not what we're listening for. What we're listening for, it is what we're listening for, actually. To say we're not listening for the right interview, I guess is what I'm saying. We're listening for the open forum, right? We're listening for the free exchange of ideas. If I want to see people criticizing Ben Shapiro or Gavin McInnes or whoever, I can log on to Twitter and I will find plenty of them being criticized, whether rightly or wrongly. Shitloads of that out there. That argument has been made ad nauseum. But what Rogan provides is a space for those people to come in and they can make their case without a horde of Twitter users showing up and calling them Nazis, right? They can come and say, all right, this is who I am. These are my thoughts, my personality. I'm going to put all of this out here, and you can listen and make your own judgments. And it's, because people don't have time to commit to watching everybody's show or reading everybody's column. So what Rogan essentially does is it's like he's creating a collection. He's just like creating. It's a collection, you could call it, thinkers of the 2000s, and he just has people with different opinions on. They spend 3 hours dumping their fucking brain, while he just kind of asks everyman questions, and they put it out there, and you can listen, and there's a huge audience, and you can make your own judgments about them. But unfortunately, the kind of norm has become that you have to live in one camp or the other, right? Because we have this kind of culture war going on, and anyone who does otherwise is sort of a traitor to either side, right? Because again, I'm fucking belaboring the point about evolution here. From an evolutionary perspective, anyone who opposes the group constitutes a mortal threat. So there is sort of built into our DNA a pretext for getting emotionally jacked up when these arguments occur. We just, from an it takes so long for that to sort of breed itself out that our bodies haven't caught up with that yet. So we still we still act like the other side is literally a tribe that wants to, throw a fucking spear through our head or bash us off a rock or chase us off a cliff. So anyway, it was a fantastic episode. They had Tim Dillon on, who right now is just one of the funniest fucking people on the planet. And a very entertaining episode, which means, of course, that people on the internet are furious. And we have this guy Imran Ahmed is the chief executive of the Center for Countering Digital Hate, and I forget. I will have to annotate here what source I'm pulling this from, I guess, because people don't like you quoting their shit without citing them, and I guess people get mad about that. Whatever, I don't know, from some fucking article. Google it. They are essentially profiting from the platforming of and giving exposure to the most outrageous and fringe views in the desperate search for ad dollars and subscription revenues. That is a phenomenally cynical moral decision to take. Well, in that breath, and I know that this is kind of a route that people often go when they're talking about censorship, but that doesn't make the point any less valid. But this is also a platform that, of course, hosts rap music where people glorify armed robbery, rape, murder, and a litany of other antisocial behaviors. And you can do it all day. It's not just rap music, right? If you go through the full Spotify catalog, I don't know if you've ever listened to country music, but it's literally all about getting drunk and solving your problems with your fists or a shotgun, right? That is country music in a fucking nutshell. So we draw these kind of arbitrary lines where it's like, that's okay to listen to, but Alex Jones drinking bone broth and going off about the fucking Bilderberg Group and George Soros, we draw the line there. He's talking about intergalactic child molesters. And we have a problem with that. We worry that that's going to be more of an influence than music that normalizes getting drunk and giving your wife a black eye when she gets out of line. Anyway, Bloomberg reports that Spotify staff have taken... was it Bloomberg? Is that where I got this? No, I don't fucking know. Bloomberg reports that Spotify staff have taken to the company's internal Slack chat channels to discuss the episode, sharing the internal forms for reporting content and escalating complaints. The internal pushback prompted an email to staff from the company's top legal officer, a copy of which was obtained by BuzzFeed News. It said, if a team member has concerns about any piece of content on our platform, you should encourage them to report it to Trust and Safety because they are the experts on our team charged with reviewing content. However, it's important that they aren't simply flagging a piece of content just because of something they've read online. It's all too common that things are taken out of context. And I guess it says that Spotify is not going to ban specific individuals from being guests on other people's shows as long as the episode complies with content policies. So good for them for not caving to these fucking pussies. And this is what everyone has to do, by the way. And it's what I said a few weeks ago when the initial story about Rogan and Spotify staffers was going around. You really just have to look at these people and say, fuck off, because we're starting. We've been doing this for a while. We've been letting these assholes call the shots. Like Adam Carolla refers to it. We've deputized pussies, and these insane rules start getting applied to everything, and they permeate everywhere. And now we're a society of oversensitive lunatics with hair trigger tempers. And I remember a few years back when the whole social justice thing was kind of picking up steam, but people were like, no, it's just something that's happening on college campuses. Well, college students graduate, and then they get jobs, and now these little cocksuckers are working at companies like Spotify, and they are going to great pains to literally control what kind of information you are allowed to exchange with other people. And I feel like that should fucking terrify you. Because that's what they're doing at work. In their free time, they're setting up like cop-free zones in Portland and Seattle, and they're setting federal government buildings on fire. So this is a 24/7 thing for them. You know, you can say we're overreacting or we're not, but it's tangible now. And where it was less tangible a few years ago. What next? Oh yes, since we are drifting back into sort of the socio-political what have you, I neglected to mention at the top of the show when we were sort of talking about the election, but I did get a great listener submission of a terrible election social media post. And it's a chick who wrote on Facebook. I'm going to slide the mic closer to me here, get this beverage out of the way, just a moment. She wrote on Facebook, "Voting is your superpower." And Jesus fucking Christ. I feel like at this point, Facebook really should just be... Can we agree that Facebook should be for announcing births, deaths, marriages, and moves? With like a little bit of Facebook Marketplace and advertising mixed in. Like, I don't understand the subset of people who are still out there. They're sharing memes. They're getting into arguments. They're beseeching people to vote. I mean, I guess it makes sense that if you're the kind of person who takes social media so seriously that you actually believe that you can sway people with your plea to go vote, then I guess, yes, you also think of voting as a superpower. But I just feel like going down to a local elementary school, telling an old lady your name, and then picking a rich jerk-off to control your life and take your money over the next 4 years, I feel like that falls far short of the definition of superpower. Right? Like, voting is what we do because as of right now, it's the best alternative to dictatorship. So we do it. Alright? Voting is your superpower. Like, do you realize you have to be 18 years old to vote? So, at minimum, if you say voting is your superpower as a call to action, at a minimum, you're talking to people who are at least 18 years old. If you're 18 years old, you do not need to be told to use your superpower. If you're an adult and that is an effective and use your superpower is an effective appeal to you, then to be totally honest, I would prefer that you stay home from the polls. Because you clearly cannot be trusted with choosing the leader of the free world. Like the I voted sticker is a great litmus test for that too. Like, remember in Iraq when they were holding up the purple finger and that was a big deal? I get how that was a big deal because of the Saddam and the dictatorship and the gassing and the executions. That made perfect sense. Holy shit, we can pick our leadership now without fear of being thrown in prison and tortured to death. In America, I feel like we should be voting. It's something we do. It's a part of life. It is a quiet responsibility of citizenship. I think we should take the pomp and circumstance out of it. We don't need a fucking pep rally to go vote. I don't need Pete Carroll every fucking Sunday or every time I turn on the NFL network. I don't need him beseeching me to go vote. Or fucking stupid-ass John Legend. Okay, I hope John Legend winds up like John Lennon. No, that's not. That was a joke. It was a joke. He is annoying as fuck, though. He's a nice voice, but fucking annoying. But the point is, I can just go vote. Alright? I don't need the fucking lectures. Anyway, I'm not a superhero. I did some paperwork. Anyway, we will close on the NFL because it's the NFL season. I'm a football fan, and I always wanted to add a little bit of football to the podcast, and doing it, every week during the NFL season is a good way to force myself to do that. Because sometimes I forget about it, but I spend a lot of time thinking about football. So I'm like, why the fuck don't I talk about it a little here? I think it's because I'm so off-put by sports radio guys. Like, I was watching the Craig Carton documentary, and his whole over-the-top, like, in-your-face sports bro persona, I realized I just hate that so much. It's so annoying and cringy and stupid. And I guess that's why I never really got into sports radio, is because everyone has to be so fucking bombastic and ridiculous. And everything... People, like, and it turns sports fans into idiots and assholes because they wind up mimicking it in conversation. And it gets even... It's like the cause of all those drunk jerk-offs at the fucking bar on Sunday who they speak in pure hyperbole when watching football, talking, you know, the old, my tired reference of the biggest fat ass in Hoboken at a bar shoving fucking wings and light beer down his gullet, and he's screaming at the TV, calling a world-class athlete a lazy pussy, and without a hint of irony. I blame the fucking, sports radio jocks of the fucking world for shit like that. But anyway, I do love sports, and I just, I'm, again, I'm not a fucking douche sports fan. But I'd sound like a fucking retard here. This is what happens when you wake and bake, by the way. You do lose your train of thought. This is your brain on drugs commercials. A little melodramatic, but not entirely incorrect. But anyway, closing now on NFL news. The Cowboys are a fucking train wreck. My beloved Dallas Cowboys. Their defense did play a little bit better on Sunday night versus the Eagles, but of course, without Dak, the offense, and without the offensive line, the offense just can't get their shit together. They can't get the ball in the end zone to save their fucking lives. It's like really just Greg the Leg is just their only offense right now. They're like, all right, well, I guess we're looking at a 59-yard field goal attempt for Zerline, and yeah, it's more and more just abundantly clear every weekend what Dak Prescott meant to that team. People have been saying since Dak's rookie year that he was not that good, and I get it. Like, dude, Tony Romo is probably my favorite Dallas Cowboy of all time, and it fucking stung when Tony went down for the last time. I remember watching. I remember seeing him get injured, and I remember also watching on New Year's Day of that year him lead his last drive as a Dallas Cowboy and throw his final touchdown pass. His last pass as a Cowboy ever is a touchdown pass. Is fucking cool. And watching him on that drive, it was just vintage Romo just cutting the fucking Eagles defense as they moved down the field. And then he made that video where he turned the team over to Dak and endorsed him and gave him his support. It was if you're a Cowboys fan, it's a very emotional moment. And I think a lot of people just weren't ready to let go of Tony because he had a few good years left in him, and it looked like he was on the path to carrying that team to a Super Bowl, because he had gotten kind of ripped off in Green Bay a couple years earlier with the Dez catch, no catch that the league came and later ruled was a catch. Which, in my view, again, that was, for me, that put the icing on the cake of solidifying or completely snuffing out the Tony Romo as choke artist, playoff loser narrative. I think making that throw, and I think he had a broken finger on his throwing hand that he was playing with. He scored a rushing touchdown that day. He made that ice cold throw on fourth down in the season. With pressure in his fucking face. So I get not wanting to let go of the idea of Tony Romo, but to look at Dak Prescott and look at the offensive numbers with and without him this year, this is it. The same way that throw by Romo, in my eyes, put an end to the Tony Romo as a choke artist, because he had been putting up amazing fourth quarter numbers and great December numbers for a while, and he just got pinned with this shit from like his rookie and sophomore and third seasons, where he was kind of just learning. He was never supposed to be an NFL starting quarterback. He was an undrafted free agent who came in and made the team. He wasn't even really supposed to make the team. He was close to getting fucking cut. Makes the team. He's this guy with this incredible work ethic, and he just plays his balls off on every snap. You can never question his heart, never question his character. Then this ridiculous Cabo story with Jessica Simpson, where he's on the beach and he's with Jason Witten and their wives or girlfriends or whatever, and he's fucking Jessica Simpson. That's a totally reasonable way to spend a bye week, by the way. It's like a 3-hour flight on the beach, relaxing, fucking your girlfriend. Yes, that's how a quarterback should spend his bye week. He can spend a little time there looking at do you think him and Jason Witten weren't chucking a ball around and discussing game plan and shit while they were on vacation together? They weren't partying on a boat. They weren't in a nightclub. They didn't get into a fight. He didn't get arrested. He didn't get a DUI. He didn't hit his fucking wife. Hanging out on the fucking beach. Eating pussy. That's not a dumb, bad thing to do. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do to rest up for the big game. Eat pussy and discuss football with your star tight end. Makes perfect sense to me. And then through his career, you see him do these ridiculous things in the fourth quarter. It got to the point where his last few seasons, I could look at Tony Romo, and I remember in particular, he started off the first game of the 2015 season. They played the Giants on Sunday night, and Romo leads a game-winning drive with about a minute left, and it was maybe one timeout. Drives the field, nails Jason Witten for the game-winning touchdown against the Giants. I think it was on the road against the Giants. And it was that sort of became vintage Tony Romo, and he really started doing it in December, and then he does it in Green Bay. He did it in Detroit the week prior, and then he does it in Green Bay, and obviously the NFL rule hadn't caught up to the way guys were playing, because Dez catches the ball, shifts it to his left hand, and extends it. The idea that a guy would do that, it just wasn't. The rules didn't consider it because guys just weren't as athletic as they are now. They weren't wearing these glue-covered gloves where you can do something like that. It was just a little bit fucking different, and so per the rule, it's not a catch, but, obviously now they changed the rule because of it. To me, that solidified that for Tony Romo can no longer be considered a choke artist. I think he's considered a guy who had fucking ice water in his fucking veins. Dak Prescott, the argument against him has always been it's the guys around him. It's Zeke, it's Amari Cooper, it's, Dez, it's whoever. It's Michael Gallup, Jason Witten, the offensive line. Well, now you look at the Cowboys' offensive numbers with and without him, and you're like, holy shit. I mean, he's a fucking savage. He can run. He escapes the blitz. He was racking up shitloads of passing yards to the point where he was still a league leader in passing yards a week after he was injured, which is fucking wild. He's level-headed. He's not a shithead off the field, and he's hyper competitive. What more could you possibly want in a quarterback, a captain, and a team leader? I mean, teams go through great fucking pains to find a quarterback worth sticking with. And there are people out there who have the gall and the audacity to question whether Dak Prescott is the Cowboys quarterback of the fucking future. It's amazing. Look at the Jets. That's the alternative. You have your guy in Dak, or you do what the fucking Jets do, which is we're going decades now without them having a guy who you're like, oh, this guy's a fucking winner. So, okay. Do you want to be that? Or do you want Dak throwing for 500 fucking yards a game? I'll take Dak. Unfortunately, Dak is out. Andy Dalton, his head got fucking blown up. He's dead. I think are they starting Cooper Rush this week? They're gonna get fucking killed by Pittsburgh. But anyway, that's the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Those who watched on the live streams, those who listened here. Always fun. Glad I can share my Saturday morning with y'all. If you'd like to find me on social media, facebook.com/The Savage Crew. I live stream there. Twitter @Mike Montone is where I spend most of my time. And Instagram @Gary_Moyler, MOYLER. I've been slightly more active on the gram as of late. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys later, San la Menche. How do I fucking stop this thing?